Hello, and welcome to Center Stage, a series brought to you by The Workbook. I'm your host, Christina, and today we are here with two industry leaders who have continued to shape the landscape of television and film for decades. Network executive and producer Nancy Bennett and talent and casting executive Jason Wood. It's a pleasure to be with you guys today. Pleasure for us. I would love to know how you both got into the industry. Nancy, if you want to start.
I started out I had studied as an actor. My love story, I was reading from the time I could read, and somebody said to me, actually, David Mamet said to me, "You're really good with a story. Have you ever thought about looking at development?" And I didn't know what it was. And I moved to LA and I started working as a development executive and booked studios and networks, and I found a great way to be able to be an executive, but make my own movies. So I say I'm like one of the luckiest executives because I actually got these really good overall housekeeping deals because most executives are stuck at a desk. And I was actually able to leave and go make movies and come back and also make other people's movies with them. Because that sounds easy. The best of both worlds. The best of both worlds. Wow. Yeah. And I was raising kids, so it was really good because it gave me a little bit more as opposed to being gone for as long as I need to be.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And what about you, Jason?
I grew up in rural North Georgia and was never an actor. I just knew I wanted to get out of the South and did an internship with a woman in Atlanta at the time who was a local commercial agent. And then filming started happening there. She became a location casting director. Um, and then working with her after school and in the summers, I met David Rubin and Deborah Zane and Pam Dixon and just a lot of wonderful casting directors. And then moved to LA to see what might happen and went right to work.
And what drew you to casting?
I knew I was not an actor and could not an actor. I was not a writer or a director, and it was the path, and you got to be a part of storytelling, and it was really finding people and helping them find the right roles and elevating talent.
I know you've held executive roles at some of the top stops. How did your understanding of producing and how you approach producing shift with each chapter?
Wow. That's a good question. It changed for a number of reasons. One had to do with medium, because I started out in television movies. When television movies, it was like 3 networks, and it was the deal, right? So I was up in Vancouver before people knew to go up to Vancouver because I was working with 2 producers who were really, um, very in the forefront of that, and so that was exciting. So I got the experience of actually selling to the network and producing on the outside. And then I was hired by Disney and was now on the inside. And that gave me a very different perspective because I met a lot of feature producers and a lot of other producers that were coming to sell things to me. Um, and when I was at Disney, the benefit of that was I was doing features for television because it was Wonderful World of Disney that Michael wanted to relaunch. And those features, Michael Eisner. Yeah, sorry.
We're staying basic.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of around that. Michael Eisner was wanting to bring back the Wonderful World of Disney, and so it was great because we were doing features for television, so it was outside of that television mold, um, and a lot of those feature producers had features to do, so we were sent to actually make those movies, and that really is where I had boots on the ground and got my experience because I was producing those movies, and I loved it. It was truly great. Um, and then I went to ABC because Disney owned ABC and was sort of in a hybrid spot. But I made a little movie at Disney that got the attention of Mattel. And I bring this up because uh, I ended up leaving ABC and going to Mattel. And at Mattel, I was bringing Barbie to life, but I was doing it for tweens. So I did. I worked in a whole different medium. So suddenly I was not working with humans. I was working with animation, and I was combining 2D and 3D animation. And I was doing all of the My Scene Barbie things. And I brought Lindsay Lohan in and animated her and did a lot of really fun, interesting. And I became like an expert on voiceover casting. And so it was a completely different type of experience, bringing Polly Pocket to life and stuff like that. It was really fun. Very aspirational, and I like to inspire young girls, so it was delicious. I did the American Girl movies, which I had tried to do at Disney, so I was able to do that with, some wonderful talent. And so then I missed Humans, and I ended up going back, and I actually went to Lifetime because I missed working with human form and not but I got to design a lot of clothes and dress a lot of girls, and it was really fun. And they didn't talk back, so that was good. But I missed people, and so I've gotten to do documentaries, I've gotten to do animation, I've gotten to do film. It's I feel very fortunate, and I love what I do. So to get to be touch all of those different mediums and not be in a pigeonhole has been a great joy.
What a blessing to go in each of these chapters, gain different skill sets. That's amazing. It's incredible.
Challenging, keep you thinking.
So, Jason, you've worked also at some of the top stops, working at A&E and working at Hallmark Media. How were the casting challenges and priorities different between, let's say, A&E and Hallmark?
Well, they have different core audiences. History has an audience, Lifetime has an audience, A&E has an audience, and Hallmark has an audience. And really, each place, it's about serving your core audience.
And did you have a favorite place that you worked?
All of them. I think A&E, because I've spent so much time there, 14 years, and Nancy and I worked together on a lot of wonderful movies. You mentioned Lindsay Lohan when we did Liz and Dick.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh, and so I forged a lot of close friendships. I was only at Hallmark for a year, but I had a really great time there and loved everybody I worked with.
And what do you think is something that casting or working in casting has taught you about the industry?
Um, Diplomacy, patience, tact, all things I continue to work on.
And what do you think? I'd love to hear from casting perspective and her producing perspective. What makes someone a good producer? What do you think makes someone a good casting director?
Well, I can say working with producers, I think much like Nancy is, I've worked with producers who problems come up and instead of them panicking, they're like, well, let's just figure it out. They have solution oriented and they're never trying to like figure out what caused the problem. They're into solving it first. And I think that's what a producer's job um, is to keep the team aligned. They're the quarterback.
What do you think, Nancy?
I think that was very well articulated, actually. Um, yeah, I think, for me, the job is I want everybody working on that set to be happy. I really do believe I want everybody to be heard. I want people to be respected. I don't believe there should be arguing, shouting, and any kind of misbehavior. I'm not. People always look at me and they go, "Oh, she's so easy," and I am, but I'm tough. I might not be a giant, but I take care of the people that I work with, and I think you have to have integrity, and it is about how do we fix it, and I do think that's where coming out of the theater and coming out of acting, my thing is like, you don't need $1 million. It's a movie, it's not real. People, nobody knows that door doesn't lead to the bathroom. It's a closet. They don't have to know that. We can sell, it's magic, it's illusion. And I think that there's so much fun to be had. And if we can remember that we have the gift, I think it's such a privilege to get to do what we do and to take ourselves too seriously and not to just go, okay, we can't make that work. I mean, I've literally knocked on the door of the person whose house I was shooting at because some people didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I had a huge scene. And I was like, I hate to do this, but do you have a box of Christmas lights I could I could borrow for a couple of hours? And I just made a set. and it looks gorgeous. Nobody knows that I, sweat out, you know, 10 pounds, but you just get into the solution. And I think that your actors and your crew see that, and it gives them the impetus to do the same, you know? Because they're like, oh, we can be creative. We can be like, come up with a new idea, and that's part of the fun of it, right?
Creative problem solving.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what do you think makes a project in this day and age, since things are constantly changing, makes a project commercially viable? That's different depending on where you're taking it, or if you're making it independently or you're making it already with a certain network. But more, I'm asking in terms of if you have a project that you're making independently, and
Right.
you're taking it out, what do you think makes it commercially viable?
When we made You at Lifetime with Penn Badgley and Shay Mitchell, uh, we knew it was phenomenal. It aired on Lifetime and nobody watched it. It just didn't pull any ratings. And then we licensed it to Netflix and it was a huge hit.
See, I didn't know that.
So no, nobody did because people be like, "Have you seen this amazing show, You?" And I was like, "Yes, we've worked on all 13 episodes." Um,
It really is.
Lifetime was just not the right platform for that show, as much as we knew it was a fantastic show.
There was another show, and I was at ABC, but, because you'd screen all the pilots, and I was like, "Oh my god, this show is so amazing." And they didn't pick it up, and it went to another network, and it was Slade, you know? But it is a lot of times where you're finding it, and the people who are gonna go to it. I think t today's environment, it's a little bit different. I mean, I kind of have done it over the years anyway because it's a form of packaging, but it used to be that agencies were packagers, right? And you went to them and they wanted to marry like they're an actor and a director and a whomever and put it all together and bring that to. And I think more and more producers actually have to do that and can't just go in and have a great idea or just have a great property. It's like I have this great piece of material and I have this hot commodity in this piece of talent who's also going to be producing as well as starring in it. And I have this person over here who's going to write it. You have to, you really have to bring in a whole marketing strategy. And that's not to say that the material isn't worthy, but the material isn't necessarily enough anymore unless you're going to a Hallmark or something that has a pool of talent that they like to work with, and you're going to be able to entice one of those actors to want to do that, and so it works for that brand to say, "Ooh, this would be great because we have the perfect person. We've been looking for something, and this would fit for them." And it becomes commercially viable suddenly. So, yeah, things that you think, "Oh, this is a slam dunk." I've sat in many chairs, and everybody in every chair has always said to me, I have the perfect Disney movie. I have the perfect Lifetime movie. I have the perfect Barbie movie." And I'm like, please do tell. Because I don't know what the perfect Disney, I'll know it when I hear it, but there isn't a slam dunk anymore, I don't think.
Now, what do you think in terms of makes talent commercially viable in this day and age?
I think it's always platform specific. Hallmark has a pool of talent they work with that are tried and true. That's a family of talent. At Lifetime, it was much more each thing came in. We did Bonnie and Clyde with Holly Hunter and William Hurt. There was the Flower in the Attic series, which we launched with Heather Graham and Sharon Shipkin and Ellen Burstyn. And we did the Steel Magnolias remake, which was Queen Latifah and Jill Scott and Alfred Woodard. So we pursued a lot of bigger name talent because they would have to launch a movie. Whereas Hallmark has their family of talent that people keep wanting to come back to. And then in the series world, it's just different. When I did Sweet Magnolias, that was the world Cheryl Anderson wanted to create. And right off the bat, she said one of her dream people would be Brooke Elliott. So we reached out to Brooke. They met, loved it. Um, Heather Headley, somebody we got lucky with everybody. So everything, Netflix casting is different than ABC's casting is different than an indie film. So when I'm working with somebody who's making their first independent movie, my question is, why are you making this? Because you want it to be really great and make another one, or are you making it because you want to get a sale and get the money back? There's two different ways to approach it.
Now, let's say you're making a movie for Lifetime
Mhm.
and you're looking for a lead and they haven't decided on someone that they're telling you is cast. How are you going about evaluating talent? If you're trying to maybe find someone new, are you looking at auditions? Are you looking at social media? And like, what's your process?
Usually for the TV movie in these environment, the lead's going to a known commodity. Um, Occasionally on some of the movies where it was younger people, you would read people, but mostly it's known commodities that are offers.
Right. And then you're auditioning still
And
supporting
the
Santa.
local talent pool, you're hiring a casting director in Vancouver, Toronto, or Atlanta to audition those actors.
And let's say if you were auditioning those actors, what factors do you look at when you're watching a tape?
So it's so different now because I was telling somebody it's been years since I've been in the room with actors, and I miss that part of where you're like walking them and you give them a note and they get the job. And when you're the executive part, you just see their top choices from the producers, the directors. And my goal was always to support their artistic vision. If this is who they see in the part, unless there are compelling reasons to ask for another choice, it was about approving and supporting their choices. Um,
Even sometimes I'm like, don't support that choice. Just like,
um, but now I think it's a question of, especially on the casting end, how you can continue to be a really strong and powerful advocate for actors when you're not in a room with them. They don't know who you are. You can possibly Zoom with them, but that magic that sort of happens in the human connection in casting, I think it's a question that a lot of people are trying to figure out. And I know some people are going back to the room, and
the room
they're
is
happy to be back in a room.
a room is the thing is that I find is like when you consider the world that we live in and you just in our personal lives, how many pictures you take before you post something. Okay, well, I'm just gonna say it. So how many times do you think that person did that audition and showed it to people? And now when we're filming, a lot of times the actors will go help other actors and read with them to do auditions and stuff. But I know they do several takes, choose the best one, so you lose that organic sort of moment where you can see.
You don't know their quirks or their individuality, or you're seeing their Instagram version of their life instead of
Yeah, so then you're really basing it on, do they sort of embody the persona or sort of the vision you have of that character? I mean, obviously, you wanna see that they can act.
Right.
But if you do like them, I mean, I know we've done this even when people self-tape, we'll go back and say give a note and say, "Can they redo it and do a couple things just to see or can they take a note? Are you gonna get the same are you gonna get the same thing every time?" Like, that's what they do, and that's what you'll get. And you don't know that when you're on a room.
And are there other ways in which you're going about discovering new talent in terms of are you using social media to find?
sure TikTok. Although a lot of times on actors, I will go look at their social media to sometimes see more candid sides of them. Um, because the actors' Instagrams oddly are more real than influencers that get ready with me. It's also staged. So I'll look at an actor I might know or be interested in, see their demo reel, and I'll look at their Instagram or their TikTok just to get a sense of who they really are.
And what do you guys both see as the next frontier in a movie making?
There will always be movies. They will always get made. People are always saying the television movies business is dead. I've heard it since I'm 24.
Right. It's just the distribution and platform and how people are getting the content and how it's packaged. I know micro dramas are a big part of conversation now. Um, there's nothing you can do to stop the erosion of linear cable ratings. It's not going to go back. That's where it is. So you have to figure out how you get your it's making sure your product meets the viewers where they are.
Yeah. And people are too used to being able to, like, a commercial is such an inconvenience for people now. Do you see? It's like, ugh, they'll wait 10 minutes if they have to, just so that they don't have to
And
watch.
you have to keep putting more and more commercials in on linear cable because ad rates are going down, viewership is going down. So you have to keep making more money.
And then that causes like these 10-minute gaps in between. You lose sight of where you are in the movie because you've been watching cars and soap sales for one.
What about in terms of financing? Like, how is financing a movie
Interesting.
maybe independently evolved? Or how is it different now maybe than it used to be?
Anybody can make a movie now. You if you got your camera and stuff, you can make things on a micro budget. The mid-range movies that I did in the indie, like Quinceañera, which won Sundance and other stuff, people have a really hard time making those now. 'Cause
Very.
it's a platform to get their money back. And then again, your streamers are spending lots of money. But the basic cable area, it's downward pressure on everybody's budgets.
It's challenging. It's like it's because you can make a movie, but it's there used to be an expression, if they ask you to come to work and walk your dog, the next day they'll ask you to come and walk your dog on water, and it's like, because if you get it done and it's like, okay, you did it for that budget, then you can keep doing it for that budget, so there's this expectation. And so with the way things are going, you're being given smaller and smaller budgets, but the expectation is that you're going to be as competitive as some of these streaming services that have, you know, excessive amounts of money, or when you see a theatrical release and they've made that film over the course of 8 months and you literally are making your movie in 14 days.
It's continually being tasked to do more with less.
I mean, when I started, I had 28 days to do a television movie. And I know I remember when I was offended, I was like, 25 days. And then it was like 22 days. And you're like, 22 days. And so now it's like, you have 14 days. Yes, you do. And you better use those 14 days, you know.
Choose wisely.
Yep. Get it all done. Rope prep that thing. Get it made. And it's airing in 2 months. So accelerate post, accelerate, 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 accelerate. Yeah. And let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. In the summer.
In the what?
In the summer.
Yeah.
In Utah, in 104 degrees.
I was like,
Utah.
everybody knows when Christmas happens, and every year people choose to shoot Christmas movies in the summer.
And I'm watching you. Never figure that out. Like, why red? It's like they're going to pass out in their winter jackets and it's like you can't get fans on people fast enough and get those coats off and put ice packs on them. Guess in summer.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So I know you both have worked together for many, many years. Do you have a special memory or a special project that you guys worked on together?
I think it'd be The Red Tent. It was a beautiful book by Anita Dumont, and
That was a huge 10-year passion project for me to get that book.
Nancy made it happen, shooting in Morocco, and we got Rebecca Ferguson for the lead before she was coming off The White Queen.
She went and auditioned for Mission Impossible. She was like, "Can I get off? Can I go away for the weekend? I have an audition." And I was like, she told me what it was. She goes, "Don't tell anybody." I was like, "Get out of here. Go audition." So I was like, that was a nice get.
But she was phenomenal. We had Minnie Driver and Miranda Baccarin and Haim Abbas from Succession.
That cast was.
Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones.
I highly recommend watching the film. It's beautiful, and the casting was.
The producing was.
And I spent.
Oh, Deborah Winger.
And we had Deborah Winger. Getting some meet and work with Deborah Winger was just, the wardrobe was phenomenal. And the whole thing was shot, in Ouazzazate. So I was in the desert with
Were you guys both in Raqqa? Did you get to
I did not go.
I was there for, and Paul Weinstein, who's an amazing producer and somebody who I had developed it with, who I loved, was supposed to be there and got sick. And she was also running the Tribeca Film Festival and had a lot of stuff going on in New York. And she goes, Nancy, I'm so sorry. Um, you're gonna have to go do this on your own.
Oh my goodness.
And I did, and it was pretty spectacular. But that cast, um, and that story, and to be able to bring that to life for many reasons was a very special. It was sort of
And remember, we made the Bling Ring with Austin Butler
yes, we did.
before he was
And
on
Jennifer
Butler.
Grey and Austin Butler before he was Austin Butler. We did a bunch of
I was
those
done
for-
too with Jennifer Grey.
right? She did Gwen Shamblin, and she played Austin's mom in Bling Ring.
Bling Ring.
Yeah, and they still are in touch, and talk, which is really
Kind of special
sweet.
when you bring people together, especially when something's really, I call it divine,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it bonds people. It's kind of a life thing.
It's really very special. I did a mystery wheel for Hallmark this a year ago this time, and it was a lot of amazing actors that we found out of the UK. And this group of people, it was magical. And you know, you get times when this happens, and they're all going holiday shopping, and we wished you could be here. We're all meeting to have lunch and go holiday shopping, and they stay in touch, and it's just so they have a great, and that is, as a producer, that is the gratification and satisfaction to know that it was such a pleasant experience and that these people felt so happy and connected and did really good work while they were there and very professional, but that it was so joyful that they can carry that into their life after the experience. That's
Well,
joy
like an
honest
icon.
tasting. Yeah.
Casting is you're setting the actors up for success and trying to create the right environment.
Mhm.
You're packing everybody up to go on a trip. The producer is the one captaining the trip, and you're hoping everybody has a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys kind of just answered this question, I think, but your favorite reason for what you do?
Making people feel, bringing joy, escapism, entertaining. It's about connection. And if you can make somebody, you can bring a topic into somebody's living room that might be uncomfortable otherwise to discuss, that you can approach in a way that's accessible, that invites a family to talk, or if you can give somebody who's got a stressful life and is a single parent and has like all this stuff and give them an hour and a half, 2 hours to just sit on a couch and enjoy something and to say, I watched your movie and it just brought me so much joy. It's like,
Well, that's so altruistic. I was just thinking because it's fun. Um,
I like to make people feel.
yeah, I think to me it's a way to be a part of storytelling and be in the arts, and the pace of TV movies is unrivaled. I've worked on indie movies before, and it takes, you could be casting something for a year. I've worked on pilots. When I did the pilot of Monk, I think we were doing it for 4 months because it was just not turning the right person up, and features you can take. But on the pace of the TV movie, it's like I'd get 3 scripts a week, and there's a different story you're telling, and so you get to really be creative and think of new actors or actors you've seen who maybe you've never seen them play an evil part or a true crime part or
We did that and you were really wonderful at that at Lifetime of like giving people who are perceived as, in one way and then giving them this really dark, creepy
yeah.
role. And it's just fun and it's fun for them, because you don't want to play the same thing over and over again.
And speaking to that pace, you know, crimes happen all the time. They're horrible crimes. Um, but very early on, Lifetime staked out a true crime. And often we'd be making movies that we're still going to try and everything. And we'd have air dates. And so when people are like, did you see this movie? Like Murdaugh's on now. I'm like, oh yeah, we made that 2 years ago. Or Jodi Arias, Casey Anthony, pretty much any true crime. Bling Ring.
Bling Ring
Which
was
Sophia Coppola made a version.
and asked for our title.
Yeah.
We were not very nice. We gave it to her. But remember when William and Kate were getting married and
Yes.
we thought, well, wouldn't that be fun? And I was prepping off of an outline and working with the writer over Christmas because we needed to have it done, shot, and aired before they got married in April.
And who was that? Camilla Luddington, who's on
Mhm.
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a handsome boy. Oh, he was very
I'll look it up and loop it in.
Yeah, but we literally, it was like, have an idea, make a movie. That's what, and that's part of the fun too, is like, okay, we can make that happen. We just did it and we shot the whole thing in Los Angeles.
I would love to hear from both of you. What would be one piece of life advice you would give an aspiring artist?
To always find the joy in it. Because it's like if it's not fun, you're not going to be fun. And I saw an interview with Kathleen Schauffat, who, amazing actress, huge career. And she was saying she's so lucky to be 82 and have worked this career. And somebody very early on said, if there's anything else you can do, do it. If not, be an artist. And I think that's a little bit of,
Yep.
I've only been in casting because it's what I love doing. And you read a part and you think of who the actor is and you help make that match. That's what creatively ignites me.
Yeah.
And working with Nancy.
Okay. And you're really good at it. I I I second the joy, you know, and I was re-listening to a Shonda Rhimes book, The Year of Yes, and which I love. It's such a transformative, wonderful book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. I get nothing from it. Shonda and I have never met, but I think she's fantastic. Um, but it's that idea of being authentic and most people who are artistic, there's that dream quality we all sort of have of having an imagination. And it's like dream is great. Dreams are great, but dreams don't mean anything. You've got to do. You just have to get out and do. And I truly believe that because I could not have known the career that I would have or where it had taken me. I just showed up and did the next thing that came up. And and I loved doing what I did, is because it was all leading me somewhere, but I didn't know where it was leading, and I didn't have to. I just needed to be willing to show up and do what was in front of me, and so take risks and find joy, and you will succeed, whatever that means. It's not necessarily
And a lot of it is somewhat random and
Yeah.
being open to outcome and not attached to it. But then speaking of advice, I recently read or heard somewhere somebody was saying you often get the advice, it's like, live every day like it's your last. And this person said, no, I think you should live every day like it's your first. Approach it with just wild curiosity and excitement, enthusiasm, and a sense of not knowing.
And gratitude, because I always tell people, I'm choking on the frosting, you know what I mean? It's like, there are people out there that are really suffering. We're getting to, like, create and make stories to tell people and bring stories to life. I'm like, how tough could your day really be? You know, if you're unhappy, well, somebody else wants that job. So,
Namaste.
Well, thank you both so, so much for this conversation. And I can't wait for everyone to hear all of your wisdom.
oh, very sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next episode of Center Stage.